This is CBN NewsWatch.
Welcome to NewsWatch. I'm Mark Martin. Good news for Americans suffering financially from the COVID-19 pandemic. President Donald Trump has signed into law a $900 billion pandemic relief package, along with a spending measure to keep the government open. But as Dale Hurd reports, the president still wants more.
President Trump's Sunday night decision to sign the combination COVID relief government spending plan averts a government shutdown tonight, but he's still seeking cuts to government spending and more money for individual Americans. The president at first refused to sign the bill because it included aid to other nations and extras that had nothing to do with the pandemic. The president wants $2,000 payments to individuals, much more than the $600 now in the bill. Trump tweeted Sunday, "Increase payments to the people, get rid of the pork." Democrats also support larger checks to Americans.
Given the terrible economic crisis facing this country, yes, we do need to get $2,000 out to every working class individual in this country, $500 for their kid. But you can't diddle around with the bill.
The bill he signed includes the $600 payments, but he's still calling on Congress to cut wasteful spending and send a list of provisions he wants eliminated. The bill also provides enhanced federal jobless pay at about $300 per week and loans for small businesses. It also gives $25 billion for rental assistance. The House is set to vote today on separate legislation to increase direct payments to Americans to $2,000. But many Republicans oppose any stimulus checks because of how the debt could damage the economy long term. Earlier Sunday, Pennsylvania Senator Pat Toomey encouraged the president to pursue the two-bill track.
I think what he ought to do is sign this bill and then make the case. Congress can pass another bill. I don't agree with $2,000 checks to people who've had no lost income whatsoever, which is the vast majority of Americans. But the president's free to make that case. Democrats will agree with that.
But for those Americans who have lost jobs and businesses and now face evictions from their homes, $600 isn't enough.
American people are literally dying. They are starving. You're holding us hostage to this bill. Please sign the bill. We know it's not enough. We know it's not going to make up for everything, but it gets us by.
I worry and I care about myself and my family. We need COVID relief so bad.
And relief in some form is on the way. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
In other news, the suspect in the Christmas Day bombing in Nashville died in the blast, according to investigators. New traffic cam footage shows the moment the bomb went off on Christmas morning on a downtown city street. About 1 a.m., this RV was parked outside the AT&T building. Police are now checking into Anthony Warner's psychiatric and medical history for a possible motive. Officers were seen searching Warner's home over the weekend, carrying bags of evidence, trying to determine whether he targeted the AT&T building, possibly motivated by paranoia over 5G technology. Meanwhile, the officers who evacuated residents from nearby buildings are hailed as heroes, one giving credit to God for his survival.
Because I was literally getting ready to walk back toward that RV. And you watch the video, you can see that moment of clarity for me when I heard God say, "Go and check on topping." And so I was peeking around, looking like this, and then it's like, no, turn around, go check on topping. And so I turn around and start walking in the opposite direction. And then 3 seconds later, boom.
One officer temporarily lost his hearing but is now recovered. Israel entered its third COVID-19 lockdown over the weekend. Israelis were out on Sunday doing last-minute shopping and visiting before most stores and restaurants closed at 5 p.m. The closure is scheduled to last 2 weeks with the possibility of extending it. Israelis have a mixed reaction to the lockdowns, which have left more than 20% of the population unemployed.
To my opinion, it's not beneficial. I am respecting it, because of the law, but if you ask me, I highly disagree.
I think it's necessary. I'm not sure that we all understand if it's a real must across all the country, but I trust the government knows what it does. It did it very well in the last 2 lockdowns, and I believe this should be right until we have everyone get a vaccination.
In just 1 week, Israel has vaccinated more than 250,000 Israelis. Officials would like to see more than 100,000 people vaccinated each day. And at that rate, more than half the population would be vaccinated in about 2 months. A major storm system is going to bring a chilling end to 2020 for parts of the nation. AccuWeather reports a system that moved in over the weekend into today created significant winter storms with ice, blizzard conditions, and extreme cold. It's tracking through the southern portions of the western U.S. AccuWeather reports after bringing a fresh accumulation of snow to the Rocky Mountains through Monday night, the storm will move out over the plains. It is here the storm is expected to strengthen and spread precipitation across the center of the country on Tuesday and Tuesday night. The storm is expected to strengthen according to meteorologists who say it will draw moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, and that will create more than heavier precipitation in and the middle of the week. In other news, according to national estimates, roughly 15 to 20% of all pregnancies in the U.S. end in miscarriage. Women who suffer the loss of a baby struggle with the grief in silence. As Charlene Aaron tells us, one mom is on a mission to change that narrative.
The issues of miscarriage and other pregnancy-related losses are not topics often discussed in many churches. One Christian blogger is paying tribute to the son she lost while providing hope for others.
You go in with a baby and you come out with nothing.
On May 9th, 2016, author and blogger Adrienne Babbitt and her husband experienced one of the worst tragedies any parent could ever go through, the loss of their son, Timothy Lyle, through miscarriage.
As a family, it was very difficult to come home, and the kids really didn't understand necessarily, so it was hard to explain why mommy's so sad.
Babbitt says at times the pain of losing her baby was unbearable.
One thing I also struggled with too was wanting to hurt myself or wanting to commit suicide. It is possible to get to a point where it's not an all-consuming grief.
A devout Christian, Babbitt, who already had 2 other children, leaned on her faith.
That is the only hope I have. Because, having the hope of seeing my son again, having the hope that he's being taken care of, that he's still a person, he's still alive in heaven.
That faith started Babbitt on a journey of healing through writings on her blog, The Haven. Her writings eventually led to a book called The Miscarriage Project, Testimonials of Parents Who Found Hope in God, and includes stories from other parents who have experienced similar loss, including stillbirth, infant loss, and even abortion.
I started with my own story, and then I realized that wasn't enough because everyone's story is different. Everyone loses the baby at a different time or a different way. So there was just a lot of variation. I felt the Lord saying, you need more than just your story.
Babbitt hopes her book can serve as a much-needed resource for churches in reaching out to hurting women in their congregations.
Definitely a section about what not to say, what is not helpful. Best thing someone could say to me was, "I'm so sorry," and gave me a hug, and that was it. If there's not women around who've experienced it, who understand what's happened and how deep that grief is, I think there's definitely a ministry missing there that's not being met.
She points out that the holidays are especially hard.
And I remember Christmas time being really difficult because, everyone's talking about the baby Jesus, and maybe, instructing churches too to be maybe a little more sensitive.
Meanwhile, Babbitt and her husband went on to have 2 more children, with another on the way. She offers hope and prayer for others whose pain she knows all too well.
I'm hoping they really find is healing in God, that they are able to kind of reconcile that anger they feel towards God, because God did not create death. And God is not punishing them with the miscarriage. They can find other people that have gone through these deep, dark places and have found hope and peace in their lives beyond that.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Coming up, what we can do about fatherlessness in America.
sex before you marry is a bad idea. Don't tell me there's no such thing as gun violence.
That just depends on your definition of when life begins.
Watch Dan and Dale tackle trending topics that test your faith on the next Faith Wire, Monday night at 9:30. The Global Lane takes you around the world, providing facts over fiction.
What might rising trade and geopolitical tensions mean for you on the home front?
With over 45 years of experience, award-winning journalist Gary Lane brings you the truth from a global angle.
What about the issue of immigration?
World news analysis you won't see anywhere else.
And it's all right here on the Global Lane.
Watch The Global Lane, Thursday night at 9:30.
The National Fatherhood Initiative reports more than 1 in 4 children live without a dad in their home. Since that can lead to a host of problems, one pastor's group hopes Christians can help prevent the breakup of the family.
Because, man, I really wish our story had a better ending. I really wish we got to know each other, Dad, because I try to get away, but I can't help from feeling sad.
Christian hip-hop artist Legend wrote about his absent father in the emotional rap, Wish I Knew You.
And the fact is, you ruined all the blessings that you had, lost your son and your wife and your life, and I'm mad you never made it to a track meet or a basketball game. And when I had my birthday party, you the one that never came. Some days I'm over it, and other days it feel the same. I really wish I knew more than just your name.
Legend says his dad struggled with drugs and alcohol.
After 3 failed rehab attempts, he made it very clear that he had no intention to change. So my mother actually left him and took me with her. So I grew up here, and he went back to D.C. where he was from, and I didn't see him again until 20. So from the ages of 5 to 20, I just didn't see my dad.
The two did eventually reconcile, but Legend and his dad had no opportunity to grow closer.
We did meet, and our very last conversation was, I forgive you. I said, I forgive you. And we had this great time of just talking and planning to get to know each other. And right after that conversation, he passed away.
Growing up without his dad still affects Legend today.
It still hurts, and I see that. And in some ways, it's pushed me to be a better father than maybe I would have been. I don't know. In other ways, I see the deficiencies of what I don't know to do because I didn't have them.
Legend founded the Christian hip-hop production company Renaissance Movement, and God has used it to minister to youth and young adults dealing with fatherlessness.
A lot of times in my shows, I say, man, raise your hand if you grew up without a father. And it's always half the crowd. Doesn't matter what the crowd looks like, white, black, and it's always half the crowd. So that gives me a chance to speak to that. And some of my most powerful music has come from that, and reminding people, I would say my whole ministry is reconciliation.
When the family suffers, it bleeds over into the culture.
It's a problem Deacon Darrell Wentworth of Virginia Beach also hopes to change. He faces a daunting task. The National Fatherhood Initiative cites census statistics showing kids without a father figure are 4 times more likely to live in poverty, have behavioral problems, and commit crime. Wentworth wants to end what he calls this lukewarm war,
where we don't think it's our responsibility to help couples that are in distress. We need to take responsibility and say, we can help you. Let's come in and help you get healed, help your marriage get healed, because as the marriages get healed, the stability goes into the children.
To help back up his words with actions, the deacon is bringing pastors together to establish key relationships.
The Renewal Pastors Alliance is an alliance among Christian pastors who believe that the power of the Holy Spirit needs to come in and transform individuals and families, because the family is the core of all cultures.
Christian therapist Frank Meadows is a part of this new effort.
Today, with so many political correctness types of things stating what a family should be that is contrary to the Word of God, I think it's a massive problem, and people are growing up with a terrible sense of brokenness, fatherlessness, and so many mental health problems are a result of that.
Meadows also believes bringing various Christians together is key.
A lot of people won't come into a church. However, if they find there's a group where people are getting set free and let's say people are getting physically healed, that's another example. People are going to come just because they're sick. And a lot of people are broken.
One person we caught up with to weigh in on how Christian unity can prevent fatherless families is Dr. Richard Roberts, an international ecumenical minister who has the ear of the Vatican. He traveled from Europe to Regent University and was a guest speaker inside here at Regent's Law School Chapel.
We develop friendships and we support each other, and we find people who can help and people to talk to, and find that the things that we face as parents or as husbands or wives, we have in common with other people. And we can share ideas from our different traditions, and we can pray for each other.
And if the Christian community is united and embraces families, then perhaps the trend of fatherlessness can be reversed.
I mean, it's Jesus' last prayer for us, right? It's John 17, like, man, make them one, unify them. So I think that that's obvious that if we were to actually live that out, then we would be able to prevent some of the things we see.
It was never meant for men to leave their women and men to leave their children. That is not God, that's Satan's system. You've been forgiven by me.
Still ahead, the hidden joys of giving. That story next.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy.
How many nickels are in a dollar?
There are 20 nickels in a dollar.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times bestselling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts, in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain, get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
The Bible tells us to give, and believe it or not, doctors now agree. As Lori Johnson tells us, overwhelming evidence proves generosity is good for your health, from preventing cancer and heart disease to building self-esteem.
The facts are clear. Givers live longer, happier, healthier lives.
Studies show generosity triggers a number of significant changes, all of them good, both mentally and physically. Here at the world-renowned Cleveland Clinic, Dr. Michael McKee develops ways to enhance the inner healing response of patients.
There are tremendous health benefits to giving.
Stress leads to illness, and Dr. McKee says giving can reverse the deadly effects of stress. It doesn't matter whether you give time or money, or if it's to a loved one or complete stranger.
Well, we know that the giving tends to reduce blood pressure, slow heart rate. Again, giving reduces stress. It reduces depression.
Researchers from the National Institutes of Health studied MRIs of people who gave to various charities. They found generosity stimulates the reward center in the brain, releasing chemicals that strengthen our immune system.
And we know, again, that there's a release of endorphins. These are the kind of magical chemicals that come from various areas in the brain, and they flood throughout the system. They're cousins, basically, but some reduce pain, some kind of seek out sick-looking cells and exert a healing effect on them. They have many different positive effects.
Dr. Stephen Deutsch is the chairman of psychiatry at the Eastern Virginia Medical School. He says doctors commonly use giving in treating depression.
We encourage people to not be so self-absorbed and to think about others. We even tell people to practice being concerned and invested in other people.
He says the more people give, the easier it gets.
Sometimes they may feel initially that it's fraudulent, that's not really who they are, but over time, it becomes more and more comfortable for them, and it does have a powerful therapeutic effect.
So people who feel powerless or worthless find a new purpose and value by seeing their actions help others, and they tend to live longer and healthier lives. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Watch Studio 5 Wednesday night at 9:30.
Remember for a moment what it was like to be a child. You believed every story you were told. You saw a world full of endless possibilities. What stories will the world's orphaned and at-risk children believe? We believe the Bible tells the only story truly worth believing. We believe that every child should have the opportunity to dream, the chance to take challenges and turn them into possibilities, the chance to stand on the promises of God, to recognize their place in the greatest story ever told. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Theirs is a world of endless possibilities. They are looking for a story to believe. We will tell them that story. Will you join us?
The worship group I Am They has a new album out called Faithful God. Band member Matt Hines spoke with Ephraim Graham in Studio 5 about the project.
I am surrounded on every side, can't see the light of day, but I am persuaded beyond all hope you won't let go of me. I stake my claim on every word you say.
Your new project is called Faithful God. It is an interesting time to be releasing new music into the world. Describe the project for me.
It is an interesting time, and it's, I think, a profound time to just be saying, to be leaning into a faithful God. Like, we didn't know that that was going to be the title track of our record, honestly, when we were writing songs. But these songs really kind of came to surface and felt like they were the collective voice of where we were at in our story, where we were at as a band. And then now to see what has happened with all this COVID craziness over the year of 2020, it's just incredible to see how God has kind of just teed it up, I think, to really just speak directly into this season.
The title track is Faithful God. Tell me about that story and why you guys decided to name the project that.
It started with the story of a girl in my church. Her name is Jane. She's a girl that me and my family were praying for every night. You know, I'd tuck my kids in and we'd say a prayer for Jane and for her healing. She was battling cancer, and she had been through a lot of ups and downs throughout her journey, and just had this incredible faith throughout the whole thing. I pulled up Jane's, Instagram or whatever, and she had posted that she had been into the doctor and they gave her the worst news thus far and basically told her game over. Like, the cancer had spread and they weren't going to be able to treat it. It was over for her. And she refused to accept that, absolutely refused to accept it. It was like this angry, resilient, determined faith that just came out. And she was like, I don't receive that. I'm not taking that. That is not my story. That is not what God has for me. And I'm believing otherwise. And if you don't agree, and if you don't believe that, then get out the door. Like, go out of the room. I don't want to hear it. And it was just that tenacity, and I was completely moved by this testimony and what she had said in the face of death. She's like, y'all better believe it. Like, God is not done with my story. And so that was where this song came out of. And I think it's really profound. We didn't know it was going to be the crux of the whole record, but I think that that's the core message of this whole record, is God's faithfulness in the midst of adversity. Through season after season, for all of us, against all odds, He's a faithful God.
That's going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel anytime or online with cbnnews.com. Also, tell us what you think about the stories you've seen by emailing newswatch@cbn.com. Or you can talk to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day.